Greetings, viewers. Aziz Draws here. On Valentine's Day weekend, I had the opportunity to table in the artist alley of Katsucon for the first time. The event was held at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center, and seeing how this place looked for myself, I see why cosplayers like taking photos here. With information pertaining to Artist Alley becoming more prevalent on social media, the event Katsucon kept appearing as a convention that goes typically very well for artists. With the conventions I went to before not yielding the best results, there was a much needed change of pace for me for the early part of this year. Just to be on the safe side and for healthy business practice, I did what I could to minimize expenses for the event, flying in the day of so I won't have to stay for too many nights, booking a hotel just far enough that I don't have to spend an arm and leg per night, or ordering my new small size prints and doing what I can to prevent spending $400 on the convention Wi-Fi. I landed in DC a couple of hours before the show, and because I gained some experience from the years of tabling, I was able to complete the setup with a bit of time to spare. Slowly but surely, attendees would enter the exhibit hall, and slowly but surely, my phone service would begin to fail. Now, to be fair, I knew prior to going to Katsucon that this was a common issue that the exhibit hall had, probably because it's underground. The service became very spotty, if not downright non-existent. I just simply could not justify paying more for Wi-Fi than I did for my own table, so I had to gamble with the offline payments and hope attendees had cash on them. Despite the obstacle that was the internet, things were going relatively smooth. The attendees did not waste time either. If they liked something, they would buy it. If they didn't, they would just politely move on. I also think that the Katsucon staff directing traffic maintained the steady flow of people. Even though the occupancy was high, it never really felt clustered or overflowed. So on Friday, Artist Alley was scheduled to open at 11 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. By around 6:30, however, an announcement was made that the alley was closed for the day. Confused at first, I was thinking that maybe I read the schedule wrong or something, but it didn't take long for the news to reach me, or rather, the smell to reach me. Across the other corner of the exhibit hall, one of the water pipes in the ceiling bursted, splashing nearby tables in the process.
People at Katsucon, a 3-day multicultural anime and cosplay convention at National Harbor, tell us that a pipe burst, sending what they say is sewage onto guests and the artists' work.
As far as I have been informed, this water flowed from the kitchen above the exhibit hall from all the dishwashing. Honestly, this is a much better finding compared to the other options that the water might have came from, so you win some, you lose some. Regardless, the floor had to be closed so that they could do repairs. I thought to myself, man, I broke even, but I still lost an hour and a half worth of sales. What do I do in my spare time? Go to a WWE event, of course. Coincidentally, WWE was in town for SmackDown, as well as NXT Vengeance. Since this would be my second time going to one of their events, I figured I'd go see them with the extra time I had. Funnily enough, my Lyft driver was also a wrestling fan, so it was cool chatting with him before getting to the event. I had a good time though, got some overpriced concessions, watched Jacob Fatum moonsault in person, and saw some other superstars I didn't think I would ever get a chance to see. Oh, off topic, but the character you've been seeing me draw this entire time goes by the name of Blueco. This is a new character that I've added to my Screwbreak story. More on that later, I suppose. But there are prints available on my website right now. Back to Katsucon. For Saturday, they rescheduled the Artist Alley to open at 12 p.m. instead of 10 a.m. So, to make up for lost time, they would close at 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Saturday is typically when most sales happen at conventions, and Katsucon was no different despite the delay. I wonder if the time was actually better since it allowed attendees to kind of sleep in a little bit longer during the morning. I'm not sure. Katsucon provided me an opportunity to try a new print size. Beforehand, I had prints as large as 18 by 24 inches, and prints as small as 8 by 10 inches. In more recent cons, the most consistent phrase I would hear from attendees would be something along the lines of, "I don't have enough room on my wall." To answer this, I started ordering 5 by 7 inch prints. Printing at this size is not only cheaper, but it's a good way to sample how well a new print will fare sales-wise, and I can print a larger size if need be. Customers like to power buy also when they grab 5 by 7s, so sales can add up quickly because they're picking more than one print. Surprisingly enough, my 12 by 16 and 12 by 18 prints still sold the most despite the smaller sizes. Heck, even the larger 18 by 24s got sold. But I think when it comes to prints, my size range is in a pretty good spot now, so we'll stick with this range for now. So Sunday was an interesting day. Because I planned on flying back home on the last day of the con, I had to check out my hotel before going back to my table. During the rush of leaving the hotel, I left my exhibitor badge, and didn't even realize it until I stepped foot in the Gaylord Hotel. It didn't help that it takes about 40 minutes to and from the Gaylord and my hotel, so I basically lost an hour trying to get the badge. In hindsight, I should have just asked for a replacement. I still made a solid number of sales that day, nowhere near the number from Friday or Saturday since Sunday hours are pretty short from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Packing up my table didn't take long, and afterwards I decided to walk to a nearby restaurant. But bro, let me tell you, that wind by the harbor when I was walking was so strong. With every step I took, the wind seized the opportunity to try and make me airborne. Little did I know that this wind would affect my travel plans later. Despite all the chaos and the mishaps during the weekend, Katsucon was a successful one for me. Going to watch a wrestling event was a cool side mission, and it's always a joy to interact with con-goers and people who like my work. All I have to do now is get to the airport and get ready for my flight home. Or so I thought. On my way to the airport, I checked my flight details to see if anything changed, and sure enough, my flight, along with a bunch of other flights going out of DC, were cancelled due to the weather. As much of a bummer as it was to see this, I had to count my blessings and remember there's been one too many recent reports of plane accidents, and I had no interest in getting my 15 minutes. I did what anyone else did that day and just booked another night at a hotel and caught a flight the following morning. At home I played some Marvel Rivals, got some rest, for I had another con the following weekend. Ibasho-con was the next con I went to. It was its first year and much smaller than Katsucon, but honestly, I think it went relatively well. They had a strong start, nice guests, and a healthy turnout of attendees. I believe they have the potential to be another good con to go to for Raleigh in the foreseeable future. But that's how my 2 weekends went. It was the first time I attended a convention 2 weeks in a row. As tiring as that schedule was, overall I had a good time. I do need to find out how to manage stock though, for I will have to attend back-to-back cons later this year, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, I must prepare for my next convention, C2E2. This illustration you see here will be featured at C2E2, and I hope you guys grab some copies of it. With all of that being said, thank you for your time and your attention. This channel recently got partnered, so thank you for that as well. Be sure to check out my shop on my site. I have prints, I have trading cards, I have, what else do I got in there? Shirts? Maybe some other merch eventually. Also, look out for live streams. Every now and then I like to draw, and you guys can ask me questions while I work on my pieces. But until next time, have a good day. Ramadan Mubarak. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness, Cena turned heel.